Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of what we hope will be an ongoing series of interviews with artists across all the various genres. It's our first edition of what we're calling Artists Alchemy. So what the heck is alchemy anyway? It's one of those words, you hear and you kind of think you know the definition. And so we took time to look it up, and it's a medieval kind of proto-science that refers to early efforts to transform base metals into gold, mainly. It also involved, though, the early attempts to discover some kind of universal cure for what ails all mankind, and in order to help prolong life. So the search for the fountain of youth, if you will. But the definition we liked the best was the second one, which is alchemy refers to the power or process that changes or transforms something in a mysterious or impressive way. Isn't that what artists do? They take a piece of paper, they take an empty room, a otherwise inanimate instrument, or a piece of paper or canvas, and create something amazing. So they transform it in an impressive way. So we thought we'd springboard from that idea, Artist Alchemy, and kick things off with an interview with our good friend and hometown hero, Alex Cesena. Alex, good evening.
Good evening.
Alex is joining us from Boston, his new adopted hometown, if you will. He went there after college in Nebraska and years on the road with Young Americans. We'll talk about all of that in just a minute in more detail, but we thought Alex would be a great initial interview for Artist Alchemy. So how are times in Boston during COVID-19?
I think everyone is definitely taking it in stride. I don't see as many people out besides the runners who are a big part of Boston here. You always see someone running down the road. But like other than that, very few people are out. People that are out have masks. And like some cars haven't moved for like a week, 2 weeks outside my apartment building.
So you've been locked in by neighbors parking in front and back of your car for a while.
Today, the front car moved, so now I can officially move my car again.
You're mobile, no place to go, but it's a good feeling to know you can if you wanted to.
I can. So it's life has definitely changed. I leave the apartment maybe once or twice a week just to do groceries.
Yeah. Makes it hard to go out to auditions. Oh, wait, there aren't any.
Actually, though, on that front, I had lined up an audition for just like here in the Boston area, they have like a general audition just to like showcase before a bunch of different theater companies and different organizations. And it was supposed to happen in March, but
right, just not long after we were there visiting you.
Yes. Everything got canceled, though, and they recently just sent out an email saying that they're going to do video submissions. So so that's a nice. They're moving and doing what they can with the times. So they're going to be doing this next week video submissions. So arts are still happening and moving. And I have a funny story about arts too. So if you know the composer Andrew Lipa,
I do not.
He wrote like The Wild Party, the off-Broadway version, and he also did I think he did You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, and also what's another big one he's done? He's done a lot. But anyway, he's a very good composer. Oh, The Addams Family, which I was a part of.
Sure.
I got to do Uncle Fester in the musical. He wrote all these, and he was watching Tiger King on Netflix, which is this documentary about this guy in the middle of Oklahoma that has a bunch of tigers. Anyway, as many people have, he fell in love, and he actually wrote a musical about Tiger King. So, oh
my gosh,
music and arts are still thriving in these COVID-19 times.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. And I know a lot of people, and maybe most people in one form or another, they're really helping us get through this.
Yeah.
And trying new things like this, we've had to kind of reinvent our world at Yuba Sutter Arts to be more virtual. just like that casting opportunity that you're involved with. And so much of what we're doing now, the only things we're doing as far as active outreach are, in addition to the business of our business, writing grants and grant reports, but offering virtual opportunities, interviews with artists, spoken word, open mic on the Zoom meeting platform, songwriter workshops. We're going to do some live performances by various musicians. So, hey, it is what it is, and we'll take it. And it's helping us get through.
Yeah, isn't it great though? Like that we have this outlet, like social media, that we can still share these things in such a time. I mean, not to compare it to such a thing, but like the Black Plague, for instance, like back then, what could you do but stay indoors? So like the fact that we have like all this technology around us and like just the way to share things now, I think it's tremendous and wonderful.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So jumping right into your world as an actor, when did you know you wanted to be involved in theater or be an actor or performer?
Oh gosh, it was probably really early on. I enjoyed theater at a very young age. I got involved in church nativity plays. I did very early this thing called Sunshine Generation Kids.
Yeah, I have heard about that. Yeah,
which was actually at the Arts Council building, the Lee Burroughs Theater.
Really?
Yeah, that's where we had rehearsals and everything. I did theater with Pat Hill.
Sure.
Yeah,
he's a big part of the acting company, of course.
Oh yeah, so like very early. These were like when I was like 5 to 7. Like these are very early on in my career, and so I caught the bug, and I just never let go.
It's funny how that works. Yeah, I didn't know you then. I've only been in town 10 or 11 years. I'm still kind of the new kid, but I've heard all these great stories and so many things that have happened, and part of what's still going on here. So do you consider yourself an actor or singer, dancer? I know you're an entertainer, performer. I mean, not to hang one word on you, but
we're going to push the dancing back a little bit. But the singer and actor are probably like my two main things. Probably a singer first, actually.
Yeah.
Just something about singing lets me loose. But overall, I think I would qualify myself as an entertainer.
Yeah.
Just to like, because there's so many facets. I've done emceeing, I've done different things, and like just being able to take control of that space and utilize it to the best of my abilities. And
from what I've seen, you do it very well. So.
Oh, well, thank you.
Man,
yeah, I just try to make sure that everyone's involved and that people are enjoying their time, because that's when it comes down to it, you just want to enjoy the time that you've just spent. So that's what I try to do. Good.
Well, and you've certainly performed or acted as a teaching artist as well. I know a couple of years ago, you ran our Yuba Sutter Youth Choir, and you've helped out with applause performances, directed some shows. So you perform that role as well. And we'll talk more about your teaching artist experiences with young Americans here in just a minute. But you mentioned a couple, but let's just do the recap of all the different local performances you've done, or at least the different groups you've worked with and theaters you've been involved with. We've actually conveniently got a list running across the bottom of the screen here. But so Faith Christian Players with Paul Demerit, I assume, right?
Yes.
Legendary Paul Demerit.
Yeah. So doing that was actually kind of a big step in wanting to go into professional theater. Not just like it's kind of like a hobby. Running with Paul Demerit made sure everything was on time. Everything was orderly. We did things to the best of our abilities every single time. And so that really put that step forward into what I view as professionalism in my area of the arts. He did musicals. We did a few straight plays. Mostly it was musicals though. And that is the area that I excel in. So I really enjoyed that opportunity to like expand and explore.
Wonderful. Yeah, he's a pro. I know from this couple of the shows that I was able to see before he retired. What about Ponderosa Theater? I've heard about that. In fact, I recently found a couple of VHS tapes of you in some shows way back. I haven't watched them yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Actually, Ponderosa was probably my first couple of like leading roles. Starring first as Winthrop in Music Man.
Oh.
Still one of my favorites, actually, to this day. But yeah, I got to do Winthrop in Music Man with Angela Shellhammer at the time. I believe her name is Angela Beltazor now. She runs the Woodland Opera House now, which we'll get to later.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, but she was my mom in the play, and I got to work closely with her, and it was like a big stage experience for me because we were in the Marysville Auditorium.
Over at the high school?
Yes.
Oh, I was going to ask where you performed. So it was in the big theater. Oh my gosh.
It was in the big theater, and it was huge for me to have those moments in that theater because it's such a big space to play. I played everything since then, but like that was my intro to like big spaces and being able to like act in like a big area like that. So it was really kind of cool.
Were you mic'd or did you have
in that one we're mic'd?
Oh, you were.
In that one we're mic'd. I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I wouldn't say that theater has the best acoustics. It has good acoustics, but like not enough to like carry your voice all the way to the back. But
it's mezzanine and everything. It's something like 1,000. I think 1,000 seats.
It's huge.
Big space.
Absolutely enormous. So I got to do Winthrop, and then the next play I did with them was Oliver.
Okay.
In which I got to play Oliver.
Fun. Of course.
That was
more, please.
That was everything and more for me. Honestly. That was quite the experience. That was my first leading role I probably can remember.
A little bit of Food, Glorious Food. Come on. One of my favorites.
Glorious Food. You know, my favorite actually though was probably I still love the song Where's Love,
which is
sung by Oliver. He just sings Where is Love. Okay. Yeah, yes, and it's a little bit out of my range now, but all right. As a kid, you know. But but it was such a beautiful song, and I share such a connection with it now. But overall, just like the best experience, honestly.
Great show.
Yeah.
That and I'd do anything for you, right? That's or what?
Yeah.
That's from Oliver. Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. Just all good stuff.
Live from Boston, ladies and gentlemen, it's Alex doing his greatest hits. Reprieve. I love it. Oh, I love it.
We'll do a mega mix by the end of the show.
So Woodland Opera House. I've been there, and I know you performed there. What'd you do at Woodland?
At Woodland Opera House, the first show I did was Joseph and the Missing Technicolor Dreamcoat. I also did South Pacific there, and thanks, Mom from the back.
We have a prompter here. If you go up on your lines, I want you to know we've got the safety net in place.
So I think I probably did a couple more in between there. Oh, I did High School Musical 2. I did Goodnight Moon.
Yeah. No kidding. I didn't realize you were that active there. I know you'd done a couple, but that's amazing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed working at the Woodland Opera House because working with Paul Demerit set me up for professionalism.
Yeah.
But working at the Woodland Opera House was pure professionalism. For a community theater, it was absolutely wonderful.
It's such a cool space.
Yeah, well, it's cool. None of the people are mic'd. You project your lines, so you're working hard. Mm-hmm. It's got so many gorgeous things. It's got its own vaults from the ceiling that you can drop things down. You've got just so much you can do. The dressing rooms are down underneath the stage, so you're always ready. It's a great space, and it was just wonderful to work there, honestly.
So I know you did a number of the way off Broadway shows, and they stopped just before I got to town. But where did you all perform?
Originally, we did it at the fairgrounds in the main expo hall. Yeah, we did it there for years, and then we actually moved out to Yuba College and did it out there.
Beautiful theater, yeah.
Oh, gorgeous theater. Loved it there. And I mean, it was nice to do it there because it was set up as an actual theater. So it was being utilized for its intended purpose versus like the fairgrounds, which is we built everything there and made it work.
Were they fundraisers or just fun shows? I can't remember.
They were fundraisers. They eventually led to scholarships for art students and stuff like that. I was actually the first recipient.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. I got some money from the Yuba City Rotary Club. And yeah, so it was used as a fundraiser and everyone got to showcase the best from what they were doing that year or just like something that they've already done, which was great for like, I think local high schools too, especially, to have that opportunity to put forth something that maybe you wouldn't go see because if your kid doesn't go to the school, why are you going to go see their show? Right. But, to be able to put forth something like that and be able to showcase so many different variety troops, from the acting company to Jackie's dance expressions to just like everything and anything in between. It was such an honor to work with like 50 different acts, you know, it was great.
Sounds like something we need to look at bringing back in some form or another. And
I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, no kidding. And what about the Davis Theater? I've never been to the Davis Theater.
Davis Theater. Yeah, I think I only did 2 shows there. The only one I actually remember though was Hairspray.
Okay. Oh, fun.
Yeah. Which I got
the Turnblad.
Yes.
Water's finest hour.
It was fun.
I'm still waiting for the musical version of Pink Flamingos to come out, but
we'll work on it. If they can do if they can do Tiger King in the musical, they can do Pink Flamingos.
That's right. Anything's possible.
But yeah, so working at Davis Theater was great too. A little bit farther than Woodland, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was a fun theater, and I got to work with some really cool people from the community there, and got to branch out. So
somewhere along there, all of that experience led up to you wanting to pursue your training, and you wound up at the Young Americans Academy in Corona, California, down south, right?
Yeah.
And Young Americans, you can tell the history better than I can, but they've been around, I know, a long time and were frequent TV guests of various variety shows way back when.
Yeah, definitely. So it started all in the 60s. And the Young Americans have done quite a bit of different things throughout that time. They started off kind of as like, they say they were the original show choir. Going on and doing like dancing and singing simultaneously, which was seen in musicals, but not so much like on the TV side or just like a short snippet at the time. And then they progressed all the way up until like the 90s. And that's when they kind of got involved in the education side of things.
Okay.
And started traveling around and taking their brand to different places throughout the United States and then the world.
So I remember going to one of the fundraiser performances. So you raised money to pay for the school, right? The academy or whatever they call it.
Yeah. That first year, you have to spend an entire school year in Corona, California, and actually learn everything.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is it's kind of interesting how I got into the Young Americans at all. Because originally I had no idea what the Young Americans were, and I was doing Godspell at the Woodland Opera House with this very wonderful gal named Emily Delk, and her father is very integral words in the Young Americans. He was like one of the founding members, like one of the original choir directors for them and everything. And he came up and saw the show, said I should audition. And I was like, sure, I'm auditioning for anything at this point in my life. Sure. And so I did, got in, not knowing a single thing about the group.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got down there. My first like week there, they were just like introducing us to like what the Young Americans are. And like, here's what you should do. Here's the different groups that are traveling around the world. And it's like, that's cool. And then they showed us like, they're going to be working with kids. And that really didn't like make sense to me until I actually started doing it. It was really weird. Like, I didn't realize that was something that I wanted to do or that I enjoyed doing. I went there to become a better performer. And in the process, I learned so much more about myself in that I wanted to be someone that teaches and someone that like can help others grow.
Well, it's funny because I've heard people say that, you go away to school, to college, or other types of training opportunities to kind of find out what you want to do, to explore your, various options and your opportunities in life, and that you kind of were on that track but didn't know which way to go, and it sounds like that helped you find yourself.
Yeah, it was a truly wonderful experience. I got to meet some lifelong friends. I don't necessarily keep up with them right now, like besides like social media blurbs and whatnot.
But they're there, yeah.
Yeah, but like I could literally see them again in any situation, and instantly we would reconnect, and it would be like no time has passed. I guarantee it.
That's neat. Well, that shared experience, that you just can't get any other way.
No.
It's kind of like having done it, even just on a shorter term basis, having done a show, you do a play or something with a cast and a crew, and you got that connection forever.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you go through the training process, and next thing you know, you're on your road, on the road to where? I know you've been to a bunch of different countries and all over the U.S.
Yeah.
Tell us about that part of the process and how you signed up and what those experiences were like.
So they like decide where you're going to go in February of like this school year. And my first place that I got sent was Japan.
Oh, that was the first.
That was my very first tour.
Okay.
Which was absolutely mind blowing, honestly. Wow. I could not have asked for a better opportunity. It came out of the blue.
Had you ever been out of the country before?
For a week to Mexico for a missions trip.
Way back. Okay.
Way back. I was like 16.
Nothing like this. Yeah.
No. So I was 24 at that time. And I went to Japan, got to travel around. We didn't get visas that time, so we had to make a quick trip to South Korea for literally a day. And then we came back.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you didn't overstay your
right
permit or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Because you can only be there for 3 months tops, and we were there technically for 4.
Were you?
Yeah. Summer tours are long.
Long trip. So describe the format. I mean, I've heard it, but I know you moved around a lot on each of the tours, but what's the basic template for what you do in each of these places?
Yeah. So first day, we go to the space, and we kind of like set up everything. Not only are we the performers, but we also are the technicians on tour. So we literally have to set up.
So check your ego at the door. Is that it?
Basically, we have to set up all the sound equipment, all the lights, all the like boxes, all the props, all the costumes, anything that goes on that stage, we set up. Merchandise, everything. So we do all of that. After all that's done, we kind of have like maybe a quick moment, depending on how quickly we get to that space, before we actually have to meet the kids. And we just start.
And what kind of age ranges are you dealing with?
For most of the world, we deal from 8 to 18.
Okay.
But for Japan specifically, sometimes we would actually do business organizations.
Oh.
And so those would be anything from
adults
20 to 70 something,
Sure.
Yeah. We would do whole business organizations. They kind of use it as like a retreat type thing.
Wow.
And it's just like because again,
building outward bound for the theater crowd. Yeah.
Yeah. Shared experiences. Everyone's outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Nobody's like, oh yeah, I've been to a leadership conference before. No, this is completely outside of anything that you've seen before. Oh. So it was really kind of cool to deal with adults in those situations.
So you come in and you're set up, you get all the tech underway and all your gear in place. And And then you start what? How do you start them off?
We start with a quick show and tell. So we show our skills in like both a choral setting and soloist setting, and then we'll show the opening dance number.
A little singing, a little dancing, and
A little singing, little dancing. We get going. We do that whole thing, and then we actually have them join us.
Okay.
Then we kind of split off a little bit into like the different age groups, and in those age groups, they will do their audition, but they don't technically know they're auditioning.
Yeah.
Every single person just gets a chance to stand up and sing and to get in the dance circle and dance. And that's their moment, you know?
Nice. So they work, they rehearse. It's a long day, right?
It's a long day. And then we go home to a brand new family. That night, normally, we find out after all of the stuff that I just said happens.
This is day one?
This is still day one.
Oh my gosh. I'm on Wednesday or Thursday already. No.
Oh, no. This is still day one. This has all been day one. And then at the end of all that, probably about 9 o'clock at night. The first day is only like 3 hours. So cutting a little bit there. But yeah, probably somewhere about 9, we actually meet the families that we're going to go home with. We say hi real quick. We go home with them. We eat dinner normally, and then we go to bed.
And I'm guessing most or many are not fluent in English?
A decent amount.
They do. Okay.
Yeah, Japanese and German families actually were very we're decent on their English. Okay. And if anything really came to anything, we mime it through, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course you pick up language along the way, but for the first couple of times, it's a little hard. But yeah, so that's all the first day. Second day, we get there at 9 a.m., go until about 6 p.m., teaching them everything else in the show, go home, wake up the next day, get there at 9 a.m., practice our own show that we do before the kids that's a 30, 45 minute show. Mm-hmm. We set up the blocking for that, practice anything that we need to, establish if anyone's going to be sick or injured that we need to replace, in which case we do. So you have to know all the parts, not just your own.
Sure.
Just in case, you never know. Lord knows I've stepped into so many spots before, like, hey, I have a dance solo now.
A great opportunity, huh?
Yeah, you know. Wow. So yeah, you fill in wherever you can. Different blocking for every stage because each stage is different in depth and length. And you figure all that out. The kids come in. You have about an hour before the show actually starts, and then you do the whole show.
And that's the fourth day?
Third day. You only get 3.
3 days. So the third day, then you do your performance. The Young American, the professionals do their thing, and
Young American performance, and then the kid performance. Then we say a quick goodbye to everyone. Oh my gosh, it was so good to meet you. Oh my gosh.
Long farewell, whatever.
And then we pack everything up, put it all in the truck, and then go back to the homestays, and then we normally ship out the next day.
Homestay, that's what you call your host family? Yes. Yeah, yes. Right. Wow, and then talk about the ultimate bus and truck or whatever. I mean, pack it up and move on to the next town.
Yeah, normally everywhere but Japan, we travel by bus, one bus for the entire tour. So it's kind of nice in a sense that we like kind of set ourselves up. This is our seat. This is who we kind of get to hang with and stuff.
How'd you travel in Japan? Were you flying?
By train.
Oh, the trains, of course, yeah.
Trains get you everywhere in Japan. So if it was over 2 hours, we would take a bus.
Okay.
But if it was anything under that, we would take one train to another train to another train.
And you can load all the gear on the train?
We have a truck. So we have one truck driver, and he just meets us everywhere.
Got it. All right. But the talent goes by train. Nice. Fun. Wow. 4 months, huh?
The first tour is 4 months.
Wow. So where else have you been? You've been to Japan, I know, a couple of times, right? And
I went twice. So I got to go each place twice. So I'll just go in order because that's the easiest. I went to Japan, and then I actually did an East Coast of America tour, which we hit up a bit of the Midwest too on the way. Mm-hmm. And then I went to the UK and Ireland. And then from there, I went on the West Coast summer camp tour.
Oh.
Then I did my first Europe tour in Germany for the most part. Then I went back to the UK. Then I did Japan again, and then I went back to Germany and
Wow.
Europe.
Jay. And about 3 years total elapsed time there?
Of travel, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of just touring and doing shows, it was about 3 years, and not including that
Incredible.
first year of just Southern California.
What an experience. Yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing one of your shows, the big holiday shows at La Mirada Performing Arts Center.
Oh, yeah.
Great big theater. Beautiful. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what we do in between too. So like you would think, oh, maybe there's a little gap. No. After you're done with your fall tour, normally most people go on to do the Christmas show, which takes up that entire space in between. And then you're right back into moving on in January. So
wow. Incredible. What a time. Young Americans. Yeah. Beautiful. And they're ongoing and thriving and doing good things. And then that actually, go ahead.
No, currently they've actually stopped touring due to the crisis.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure they'll have plans to pick back up here soon. I haven't kept up so much with what they're doing currently, but last I saw this, that they just kind of like stop production.
Well, and all that experience, I love that you were able to cash that in, if you will, when you went back to college after taking that time to travel and finish up your BA degree in theater management, and you were able to get experiential learning credit, I think is the term. Yeah. All of those things you did in the technical theater and performing arts, and then you turned that into a 4-year BA degree, so you don't have to leave that part on a job application blank anymore.
Right, which is so great and fundamental. Lord knows I would never go to school if I hadn't done that. Right. I got 2 free years of college, essentially. They just cut out my freshman and sophomore year with general education.
Yeah.
And I got to go right into my degree stuff, which is what I really wanted to do anyway.
Sure.
Like it's the general ed stuff that mostly drags me down in the long run for me personally.
You got through it and did what you needed to do, and toughed it out, and good for you. Good for you.
Here I am.
Alex Cesena, ladies and gentlemen, college graduate. Not that that'll help you get a performing, performance gig, in a casting call, but for other things, teaching artist gigs or whatever else, if you do get into theater management as well. And it's like my friend Gary Martinez, who we hope to have on this show in a future date, professional actor, Bay Area guy. I met him in LA. A friend of ours, a mutual friend, they both went to Michigan State University. Gary was working on his doctorate in theater. How many, PhDs in theater arts do you know? But Gary came back to the Bay Area and has had a great career. He's a 40-year member of Actors Equity, done some film work, voiceover work, and had a great career, but also did a lot of business development for public TV and theater groups around California, and just done some remarkable things and all of that. Now, you don't have to have a doctorate to do that, but still having that academic credential can certainly help. So
it opens doors.
It can. He certainly, maximized his investment in higher education. So
there you go.
Yeah, wonderful. So all of that said, and your background on the road and Young Americans, and then you've been in and out of Yuba Sutter the last couple of years since I've gotten to know you, and you've done some great things. Like you've been a regular with our Applause series of performances that Yuba Sutter Arts does in collaboration with the Sutter Performing Arts Association to help build that Sutter Theater and get it finished up. Talk about your experience with Applause. I mean, you've worked with a lot of great local performers, and they're just great shows.
Yeah, I loved the Applause series. It's such a joy to do those. First of all, just because I love doing a theme,
right?
It almost sets it up for like what could happen. Like you have to stick to it, but like at the same time, the world of possibilities and inside that theme are just wide open. Like when you do a Christmas show, God knows you don't want to do the exact same 10 Christmas songs that every single person has heard on the radio for the last.
That's right. But your 12 Days of Christmas with, wasn't it Brian Baggett?
That's right.
It's legendary. It's
good stuff right there.
You've got the video. Yeah, we should. We'll post that for the holidays. Good stuff.
It's fun finding new and interesting things to do.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I think that's where I really like find like the joy in things, is when it's something new and something fresh. Like I don't want to do the same song
Sure.
20 million times.
Or certainly not the same way, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's always something new. One of my favorite artists, Sarah Bareilles.
Mm.
I've listened to her sing "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay"
Oh, yeah.
maybe 15 different ways.
Yeah.
She every time it's just a little different and a slightly different inflection. It's not even her song, but like she can just take it and make it new. And I think that's what's important and cool.
Really keeping it fresh. And, you know, Linda Plummer and Carmen Smith kind of co-direct and write those scripts and come up with those themes. It's just, they're very clever and just so wonderful. I know we are very appreciative at Yuba Sutter Arts and all the effort you and your fellow actors, performers put into it, and all the tech crew and the behind the scenes, Laurie Moy and others who help with costumes and stage management. And it's just a beautiful collaborative effort. And we've been so proud and happy to be able to at least contribute something by using our Burroughs Theater to put on these performances, and then write out a check at the end of the series to the Sutter Performing Arts. So.
Well, yeah. And I think it was just the perfect space to do that, you know? I think if you were trying to do that in different, like a bigger space, you would lose the intimacy that Applause had. And I think that's what's so important about Applause, is that you shared a connection with the audience.
Yeah, it's very up close and personal and intimate. And our little 120 seat theater is pretty warm and cozy. So
yeah, whether you wanted that intimate connection or not, it was happening.
You're going to have it, right?
Yeah.
Janet Fry walks down the aisle and does her Santa Baby at the holidays. Get ready, you know.
That's right.
If you're lucky.
1 year I got to do Santa Buddy. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, that's a good segue. You talk about doing songs differently. Talk about the show you put together called Twisted.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah, describe that for those who may not have seen it.
Yeah, so Twisted was my idea on and a take on Broadway's Backwards, or there's so many different varieties of it, but like what it is men singing traditionally female songs and women singing traditionally male songs. And we took that and decided to go not only by decade of pop music, but we also decided to go with Broadway. And so it was so much fun being able to like take that opportunity to sing something that I wouldn't necessarily get any other time in the world to do. You know, I got to do Out Tonight from the musical Rent, which is a female song. And Janet Fry got to do My Girl, you know, the Temptations.
I think so, yeah.
Sounds
right.
Yeah, but
Travis Leonard doing
Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Feel Like a Woman. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it was fun.
Great stuff.
And it was both fun and serious at the same time. Like you can just take those songs and make it your own.
Yep.
And that's again where I just like I make that connection of like, this is mine now.
Yes, some of the pieces were, you know, very, very laugh out loud funny, and others were very, very, very moving for various reasons.
Yeah. That's how I like stand-up shows. You know, gotta have your highs and lows.
You mentioned Sarah Bareilles. Who else is inspiring you, or are you following closely? What's going on out there that maybe some of us don't even know about?
Gosh. Well, Sarah Bareilles is my favorite artist of maybe all time.
Okay.
In my personal opinion, probably one of the greatest songwriters of the last 20 years, hands down. Past that, she wrote her own musical and everything too. So like more props to her for that.
Is that Waitress?
She did Waitress.
Take on the film.
Right. Take on the movie. She wrote the music for it.
Right.
So kudos to her for doing that. She actually went to Broadway and performed it herself as an actress. Oh. So, yeah, to me, I think she's like top notch. Past that, like people that I keep up with are the current company that's not on currently of Company on Broadway. Yeah, if you know anything about
Stephen Sondheim, of course. Yeah, we did it at the Burroughs a couple of years ago.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Love Company. I absolutely adore the musical. It's probably one of my top 5 of all time.
Are you a Sondheim fan in general? Because I love Broadway, but Sondheim is different.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah. Well, I think that's
thinking person's musical theater.
Yeah, if you're into musical theater, you're into Sondheim, I think. I think he just took Broadway in such a different direction. His songs weren't so melodic and repetitive. Not that that's a bad thing, catchy tunes.
Yeah.
In your head. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Can't pass up any Roger and Hammerstein. No. But Sondheim is probably one of my favorites. And they just came out with an album that's a Sondheim disco thing.
You sent me the link. I know I've got to listen to it.
It's a little out there, and it's just all of his different music all over the place. But it's so much fun, and I learned some new songs from Sondheim that I wouldn't necessarily have found any other way. I listened to Passions because of it, one of his lesser known plays, and also Frogs.
How about Assassins?
Assassins. Oh,
talk about obscure Sondheim, yeah.
Right. Wow. So there are these things that like popped up on there, and I was like, wow, I guess I'm learning something new today.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So since we're on the subject of Broadway, why should, maybe there's some folks out there that aren't hardcore Broadway enthusiasts, or even for those of us who are, why should we care about Broadway? I'm under normal circumstances when it's up and running. Yeah. And I've had the great pleasure of seeing a lot of shows in New York on and off Broadway. And why should we care? Why is Broadway relevant?
I think Broadway is relevant because just like any form of media, it shows the time. Even if the musical or play is set in the 50s and it shows something about racism, we can find parallelisms.
I know. West Side Story.
Hey, there it is. No, so like there's so many like parallelisms that we can take from shows on Broadway and like really choose and take that moment to reflect on our own lives. So it's important in that way, but it's also so important as a release.
Just a sheer entertainment aspect.
Yeah, you don't need to feel something deep. Some musicals aren't meant for that. Bye Bye Birdie, not meant for those deep moments, but does it have its moment where it's like builds to the climax and then has that release where you can just like let loose and just enjoy the 2 hours that you spent in the theater? Absolutely. Yeah. And so I think that's where art takes its stride, and Broadway takes its stride, is that it just lets you let loose and also makes you think in maybe a different format than you wouldn't have thought before.
And when that comes together, and that's sort of the entertainment value, the fun part sucks you in, if you will, and then, oh my God, we're going to hit you with just a little bit of a message, not enough to turn you off. But, the last big show I saw was in Sacramento at the Memorial Auditorium, and that was Dear Evan Hansen, which is, wonderful, entertaining, great story, great characters, personal relationships, mother-son stuff, against this backdrop of the power of social media to transform individual lives in an entire community. So it's like, wow, powerful stuff.
Yeah, there's just so much out there, and like even like lesser known musicals or just finding niche artists like Pasek and Paul, who wrote Dear Evan Hansen. They have so much other stuff, but that's like,
I didn't know them before that show. I know I've got to do more research because it was spectacular.
Yeah, they're one of my favorites. If you got the time, definitely look them up. No,
for sure. We had a question up earlier, and it just had to do with your early influencers, if you will. I know you talked about Paul Demerit, and I'm sorry, I forget her name, the woman that wound up running Woodland Opera House.
Angela Shellhammer.
Angela, yes. Any other folks earlier in your career that just really got you fired up that we hadn't touched on?
Pat Hill. I know we talked about it for a hot second, but like I did shows with her probably for about 10 years.
Wow.
Pat was a major influence. She also brought a very strong mood of professionalism.
Yes.
In a different setting that worked for kids.
Now, was Acting Company up and running, or B Street Theater, whatever it was originally called? Did it exist at that time?
It did. Most of what we did, though, was actually at Friday Night Live.
Oh, okay.
Up in the top floor.
At the big building, the old Packard Library in Marysville?
Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that space. Wow.
Yeah, so most of what we did was actually there. So that's
There's
where
there's a little stage, right, at one
Mm-hmm.
end? Yeah,
Gosh. And we used a green room that was just off to the side, down a flight of stairs.
Wow.
But yeah, that's where we held most of our performances. And if not there, we did things out in the community. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure most years we ended up doing a patriotic theme, and we would go out to different places and do a little something.
Sure.
But yeah, it was Pat just instilled. I think she started that professionalism in me, truly, and passion. I think that's what it really was. Pat has a true passion for theater that she passed on to me, and I think that was more important than anything.
Oh, that's beautiful. I know her well, and she's a great lady of the theater, and I had seen her on stage a couple of times, and she's still so involved with the Acting Company on the marketing side, and work with her on a regular basis to help promote those shows.
Love Pat.
Hey, shifting gears just a little bit. You and I worked together when you were still in town before you went off to college, helping to promote our annual Poetry Out Loud events. Going out, meeting with the students, talking poetry, and trying to get local high school students enthusiastic about taking the time to memorize a poem and then coming out and, in our case, to the Burroughs Theater to recite their poem as part of this national competition. So you were one of our coaches and came out and helped get kids fired up about it. So April is National Poetry Month. So read any new poems? You want to recite a poem or?
Yeah, I mean, I can do the one that I memorized in 10th grade. We had a poetry class we had a poetry section in our English class in 10th grade at Faith Christian High School. And for some reason, Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll stuck with me. So it's the one that I have memorized to this day, word for word. So I'll spit it out real quick.
Great.
Free verse poetry. No. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the claws that bite, the jaws that snatch. Beware the Jub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the manxome foe he sought. So rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whittling through the tulgey wood and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with his head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Oh, come to my arms, my beamish boy. Oh, fraptious day, callooh, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe.
Oh, bravo. Thank you. Well done. Well played, my friend. It's funny how that stuff sticks with you, right?
Literally, I'm 10th grade. I was, 14, 15?
Yeah.
And it's still in there, knocking around.
Yeah, we had a great local competition for Yuba and Sutter counties this year. Great participation. Lots of students came out. Everybody had pizza and recited poetry, our annual pizza and poetry parties. And doggone it, everybody was queued up and they were coached, and they had to cancel the state competition at the California State Library because of the COVID-19 crisis. So they went to a virtual format. So we got both of our county champions into the theater. We had to video their recitations, and then we sent that off to the California Arts Council for final adjudication. We didn't finish in the money, so to speak, but the students had a great experience, and sorry not to have them in Sacramento with all of the other county champions, but we made the best of it.
Right. And I'm sure that set up them for success in other ways too. Just to be able to say that they've competed at that level. So
absolutely.
That's great.
We missed your help in the classroom, but hey, we press on. Gosh, we've got a few minutes left. We want to try to keep this to an hour. We're experimenting with the format and lighting and all the technology that it takes to put this on. It really is pretty simple. And folks out there, I know others are doing these kinds of things and Zoom meetings. And we're doing our best, as I said early on, at Yuba Sutter Arts to stay engaged with the community, stay relevant. And we hope things like this will be appreciated and viewed. And until we get back to normal with actual physical events in our theater and our art galleries and courtyard, and looking forward to lots of good things this summer. I think this is a good start. Thanks for helping us kick this off. Yeah. So we talked off camera about one of the great interviewers in my estimation of actors specifically, but just an all-around theater guy. In fact, I didn't realize how involved in Broadway James Lipton was. Many of you recognize that name. He ran the Actors Studio in New York City for many years, and he had a show called Inside the Actors Studio on Bravo channel, I think, for most of the 23 years they were on, right? Mm-hmm. And he did a wonderful job, and all of this is on YouTube. If you have an interest in this sort of thing, look up James Lipton Inside the Actors Studio. You can see him talking to Harrison Ford and Anthony Hopkins and pretty much, and Robin Williams. That one is like totally off the charts. And you might enjoy some of that. I'm getting some additional light through my office windows here. Unexpected. I'll have to mask that off. But they're wonderful. But we wanted to borrow from Mr. Lipton's playbook, if you will, his sort of trademark and his final 10 questions that he would pose to each of his guests. So without further ado, let's run through this and see how it works in this context. So
all right.
James Lipton would start off with saying, okay, Alex, what is your favorite word?
Why?
Why? That we could have a separate show all about that. Why? He didn't usually expand on it, so we'll let it go at that. We'll follow his order. What is your least favorite word?
Can't.
Wow, that gives me a whole another train of thought, because our good friend Jim Achilles, local actor and entertainer, music educator, and musician, did a show at the Yuba Sutter Arts Burroughs Theater a couple of years ago called Can't Say Can't. And his whole premise was, hey, tell me, that I haven't been trained to do that, or I haven't learned that, or I've never done it before, but don't tell me you can't do it, because you don't know until you try. So I'm with you on that.
That's that.
Mm-hmm. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Trying new things.
Keeps the juices flowing. That's a good one. What turns you off in any of those categories, creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Being told I can't do it.
Okay. We're circling back on that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right, this one gets a little edgy, so I know you can edit appropriately. What is your favorite curse word?
Bollocks.
Look at you being appropriate.
Ballsy. No, I just think it's funny.
Bollocks. What does it actually mean? I mean, I've heard it, but I watch
way too much British TV. What you just said to me is complete bollocks.
Bollocks. Okay. Nonsense. BS.
Yeah, nonsense.
Okay. I got it. I like it. What sound or noise do you love?
Wind chimes.
Love it. What sound or noise do you hate?
That one's a hard one. Honking. That's a Boston. That's because I live in Boston now.
Those Boston drivers. I know
they honk at everything.
No offense to any of our friends out there from Massachusetts.
All offense.
Easy now. What profession, other than your own, would you like to attempt?
Professional theater. No. But honestly, besides that, I would actually love to be a bartender.
Wow.
Yeah, slightly different than barista, just because
that's
you get to spend time with people and learn their stories.
Same concept. Yeah, for those that don't know, Alex has for several years been a master barista at Starbucks. in 3 different states now, right?
That's right.
Oh, that's a good one though. Bartending.
Yeah.
A lot of actors do that,
Yeah.
between gigs, if they're not working at Starbucks.
What you got to do to survive, right?
Indeed. What profession would you not like to pursue?
Anything behind an office desk.
Easy now.
I know. I just can't do it. If I have to stare at a computer for too long, I literally go crazy.
Yeah, good. All right, and last but certainly not least, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You did a good job.
Oh, perfect. Well, gosh, that hour went quick, huh?
Yeah.
Gee, thanks for again.
It was fun talking about myself.
Indeed. You do it very well.
All actors have to have a slice of narcissism.
Oh, well, thanks a million, and stay well and be safe back there. And I just want to thank our technical support team, our producer Abby Cesena, technical director Sam Cesena, for making us look so good, Alex. And until next time, that's it for today's Artist Alchemy. Don't forget to tune in on Sunday. We're going to kind of revive in this virtual world our Art Radio Today program via, let's see, we're going to be using StreamYard again, the same format, with co-hosts Tom Galvin and Joe Moy. We'll have some special guests. So 4 o'clock, you can catch it live on Facebook right here at Yuba Sutter Arts. And then, of course, it'll be available for viewing later if you can't catch it at 4 p.m. But that's it for today. Artist Alchemy, over and out. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.